worried about individuals, right? We're worried about team, and we're worried about not worried. We're concerned that none of us were scoring goals. I mean, we didn't score any goals 2 games ago, so that was our focus. Not this guy's got to score, that guy's got to score. It's the Minnesota Wild have to score goals the way that the Minnesota Wild score goals. And
Welcome. Hello. You are so excited. There was like 4 Judds on
What was that? Wow.
That was awesome.
Whoa, I'd like to you know what? I'm not concerned about the fact that there were 4 of me. I'm concerned about the fact that there were 3 too many, but I mean that's not how Judd plays.
No.
That's not what Judd does. That's oh my gosh. All right, take what Dino said for what it's worth. I guess as far as the team goes, that's fantastic. But we are here to tell you the truth and not spew cliches about Game 6 of the Wild Golden Knights series, which will be tonight at XL Energy Center, 8 o'clock Central Time. Face off.
God. A normal time. 8.
You're not going to get one for the playoffs. We're in the middle of the country.
Great. I love 8.
Oh, you like 8?
No,
okay.
I like 8. I
thought you were pining for 7.
9:47 is.
Yeah, but that's if they're in the West Coast, that's what
ridiculous.
we're getting.
God,
that's not going to change. So
No,
anyway, Zolgad and Declan Goff. We all have our complaints in life. Yours is face-off times. Mine is the fact the Hubbard parking lot is again full, and so we go on. All right. So we are now to Game 6 in what has been one of the weirdest series that I can recall.
Yeah.
Because it has at times been superior. It's been great hockey. At times it's been, from the Wild at least, awful hockey.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess I've gotten to the point, Declan Goff, where going into tonight's game, I'm just curious what we're going to see. I have no prediction at this point. and here's the scary thing. If the Wild gets off to a good start, that doesn't mean they're going to have a good second period.
Right.
Like, this is what's so weird. Game 5, to me, Game 5 encapsulated like the cliche, Jekyll and Hyde, the different faces of the Wild. First period, get off to a great start, look really good, score 3 goals. You don't have a ton of shots, but you still did a good job. Second period, you take a powder, you completely duck out. And then in the third period, you come back and you play okay. So I will say, going into tonight's Game 6, I have no idea what we are going to get from this team, which is at the same time disappointing and, sort of not fun. It's interesting because you don't know that. But I mean, we are to Game 6 and I'm at a loss for what this team is going to do tonight.
Yeah, it's strange. All year long, they've been bad in the second period. I think it's been heightenedly bad, exceptionally bad, maybe is the better word, in the playoffs, that they've been even more atrocious in the second period. Even during the regular season, they were not a good second period team. Outscored a ton, just not playing very good hockey. And then the third period, they turn it on. And that's not the furious realities they turn it on. They just turn it on to be a better period in the third period all regular season. In terms of expectations for tonight, we were discussing on Vent Line after Game 5 on Monday night that I feel better about a Game 7 than I do about a Game 6, which is, I know, kind of ironic because you have to win Game 6 to get to Game 7. But the Wild have historically played well in Game 7, and I feel like they'll have all the momentum going into that Vegas game if they were to pull that off. But I still also think this is a game where hopefully some players can start warming things up. I think Kevin Fiala can finally start getting on the score sheet here. Kirill scored his first goal in Game 5. I think it's time for Kevin Fiala to get going. I think it's time for Fiala to finally get a monkey off his back, get the first goal of the series, and that's what I'm looking for. But in terms of an overall gameplay, yeah, I mean, your guess is honestly as good as mine. I've been wrong. I thought in Game 2 they get waxed, and then they played their best game of the series, and they still lost that game. So expectations, it's a great question, Judd. I don't know what to expect tonight.
So when Patrick Royce joined us for his Mackey and Judd segment yesterday, he said he thought that the pucker factor had now shifted to the Golden Knights because they lost Game 5. I guess part of the reason why I'm with you in saying I think the Wild has a really good chance to win in Game 7, but I'm not convinced they win in Game 6, is because of the fact that the Wild, until I see different at home, which is amazing because they played great there at home during the course of the season. And keep in mind, a lot of that was, with 200 fans at one point. But until I see them come out tonight and look loose and at ease, I'm not going to be convinced that they are at home. This team, first period game 3 was fantastic. And then 5 periods all in downtown St. Paul, they were not good, So I am not convinced that the pucker factor, which can play a role in hockey, is going to become an official thing that's going to shift to Vegas until Game 7 if we get there. I want to go through a list of three names that I have that I think are extremely important to the Wild's success tonight.
Okay.
Declan Goff, if they are to force a 7th game. And we all know in 7th games, this franchise damn near unbeatable.
Yeah, well, they are unbeatable. They haven't lost one.
Jordan Greenway is my 3rd name.
Okay.
He played really well, I thought, for the most part. Take out the second period because everybody was bad. But in Game 5, a goal, couple assists, I'm sorry, he has a goal. He scored that goal in Game 5. 2 assists and is a +3 for the series. This series is made for a guy like Jordan. And I thought there have been games in the series where it's pretty clear he's embraced it. And then there have been times again where he has sort of ducked out, disappeared.
Yeah.
And when you're playing against a team that has speed and some size, they're not huge, but they have Alex Tuck. When you're playing against that type of team, Declan, I think Greenway's game needs to be at its best. And that doesn't make him a Hall of Fame All-Star player, but that does make him a presence in the series. And if the Wild's going to win tonight, I think Jordan Greenway, not just Foligno, not just Dak, I think Jordan Greenway has to be a major presence.
Yeah, I think he's had a solid series. I don't think he has had a world-beating series, but in general, I think he's had a solid season. And in the playoffs, he's played very well. And that line's been the Wild's best line, even in the postseason as well. To no surprise of anyone, if anyone's been watching the team all season long. But yes, Greenway, it'd be nice if you saw more of what he did in Game 5 on a consistent basis. Because in Game 5, in my opinion, he was a beast. I thought Game 5
and that's
was
what he should be,
game.
though.
Yes.
Like that's the perfect word. Yep. That's what you want, a beast.
Yes.
Like he doesn't have to be, it doesn't have to result in a ton of goals. It doesn't have to, but he has to be a presence. It's the simplest thing I could possibly say, but I mean, the most important thing to me in a playoff game and in a series is that we notice you.
Yeah.
Because it's very easy to watch an entire game and be like, did so-and-so play? Or I saw him, but I didn't really see him.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought in Game 5, and there have been other moments in the series for sure, you noticed Greenway. And there were a lot of games I felt during spurts of the regular season where you didn't. And if you don't notice him tonight, I don't think the Wild wins. I don't think 2/3 of that line going strong is enough. Because that line becomes a real pain to play against as a whole, and a really effective line if it's 3 guys. My second name, and this is actually, so I looked up these stats last night. This is actually a surprise how, I moved my notebook. I'm sorry. For those of you who got blocked out from Judd, and those of you who are listening on the podcast, you have no clue. But I moved my notebook accidentally in front of my Dell camera here and blocked myself out. And oh my God, no one could see me for a second. My second name, and this guy's lack of production, just overall, is not something that's going to be translatable to playoff success for any amount of time. And that is Jared Spurgeon. He has 0 points and is a -5 in the 5 games. For a comp, Ryan Suter, who plays with him, his defensive partner, is a -3 and has no points. But Jared Spurgeon certainly has the ability to get points. -5 is a fairly big minus for him. Mm-hmm. He is playing 22-38 a game. And I mean, this is your captain, but more importantly, he's also a dynamic player. Like Jared Spurgeon can impact the game in many different ways. I love him. He makes some great plays, but the more I thought about it too, I really haven't seen Jared Spurgeon in this series much at all. And I know it's a tough one.
Yeah.
But I feel like he has to have a positive impact for success.
Yeah, he's got 13 blocks. He's thrown around 9 hits. Just 4 shots on goal. I'd like to see a little more.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. No points for him. No points for Suits does not shock me. Yeah. No points for him surprises me in 5 games.
Yeah, I agree with that.
But I think that's So people will say, well, you get pulled, I mean, they weren't scoring goals. How is he going to score points? I think in this case, points would be indicative of the fact that he looks involved. And defensively, look, I am not questioning him. He will block shots. I think he is one of the best in the entire league. And I don't know how, because he's so small, but he breaks up plays. Like, his stick work is fantastic, and his ability to break up plays in his own zone is fantastic.
Yep.
So I'm not saying he's a bust, but I am saying that the no points and the shots on goal that you just gave us does tell a story about a guy who's got more. And there were times during the course of the season, Declan, where he definitely generated offense. Like, he was really good. So, and keep in mind too, he is the quarterback on the first power play.
Yeah, he's got to be better.
And that power play tonight, that power play's been terrible.
It's been back to the old
And they
one.
didn't get one in game 5.
Right.
But I think if you're going to win tonight, you probably need at least a power play goal.
Yep.
And then the last one, and you said this at the top of the show, and I'm inclined to completely agree, and he had a goal in game 5, his first goal. Kirill Kaprizov, I think this is, and I know it's tough, I get this. This is the 2-goal, 1-apple night.
Okay.
Something like that.
Yeah, I like that.
But I mean, this is the game where he finds a way to shine.
Mm-hmm.
And if that means being selfish, guess what? I don't care.
Yeah, be selfish. I'm cool with it. Totally cool with it.
If that means you've got the puck in the slot and Zuccarello's open on the boards, oh wait, I'm going
shoot
to
it, buddy.
Yeah, exactly
Just
right.
shoot it.
Like this goes back to what we talked about at the start of the season when he was going great guns and people said he's fantastic. He said, he really should shoot more.
Yep.
And they said, no, he shouldn't. And Kirill came out and said, well, actually, my dad said I should shoot more.
And he did, and he scored more goals.
Exactly.
Weird
Be
concept.
more selfish. This is the game where Kaprizov needs to make himself a pain in the ass.
I like that.
And he might get beat up. I don't know. Guess what? He can take it.
Yeah, he totally can.
So Kaprizov, Spurgeon, and Greenway are just 3 very important people to me tonight.
Yeah, I like that one. I'm trying to think of just guys on the fly that I would like to see something happen tonight. And this maybe isn't players that have struggled, but just 3 players, maybe a hodgepodge list. 3 players I'm keying in on as well. Mm-hmm. In no particular order, Matt Dumba. I need a better game. Just absolutely I need a better game from you, man. I think was it game 3? He had a nice one. He had a nice showing in one of the earlier games that I thought, I noticed him well. He had a solid game. He threw his weight around. He's been blocking shots. He came off at the end of game 5 with a pretty noticeable limp when he was leaving the ice. I don't think it's anything that's too much cause for concern. Everyone's beat up by this time of the year. Even in a 56-game season instead of 82, everyone's beat up by this time of the year. No one is at 110%, right? That's one for sure. Fiala is another one who I mentioned off the top. I need to see him get rewarded. I don't think he's played poorly. I don't think he's played poorly at all. Mm-hmm. I just would like to see him get rewarded with a big time goal. And then the last one, and again, this is just, I want to see him get opportunities, and I would love for him to get just a little bit more run, and you saw it in game 5, and that's Nico Sturm. So Nico Sturm moved up a little bit. You notice his speed, and this isn't a product of Nico Sturm not showing up. It's a product of the coaching staff kind of just burying him for whatever bleeping reason. And those would be 3 players I'd like to see show up big time tonight. I feel like I know what to expect with everyone else on this team at this point. I feel like I've had expectations, and you have higher expectations for Krill than maybe I do, but at the same, I hear your expectations because he's your best player, and you need your best player to show up. I made the point that Mark Stone's the Vegas Golden Knights' best player on the ice. Guess what? He's been showing up. He hasn't been slowed down. He's been showing up all series long. Alex Tuck, same thing. So I would like to see Nico Sturm. I'd like to see Fiala get a big time goal or 2 tonight, and then Matt Dumba just to play a cleaner game. I'm not really asking. I would love a power play goal, but I just a cleaner game for Matt Dumba.
No defensive miscues.
Yes,
which drive you
fantastic.
crazy.
Yeah.
So the most important thing tonight, though, and all of the players, all 6 of the players we talked about, obviously are important, but the most important thing tonight also is that you play a consistent game, and that's where I want to get into the coaching of this. Okay.
Okay.
So we like to break down managing in baseball, and it's fun. We like to break down coaching in football and adjustments, and it's fun. But I think that, aside from our show, I think people have been sleeping on the lack of in-game adjustments the Wild are making and things on the fly. And I bring that up because the second period in Game 5 is inexcusable on every level from everybody. Yep. Nobody gets off as far as, he's not at fault for that. You were outshot 22-1. Your goaltender stood on his head. Cam Talbot was fantastic. But my God, you can't expect that. It's one thing for a goaltender to steal a game. It's another to say the puck's going to be in your zone the entire period, and so that's not stealing a game. That is armed robbery of a game. Like that's beyond what I consider the scope of good taste on an ask for stealing a game. So I think the most important thing tonight, and Dean has to be partially responsible for this, is when the Wild starts to get into these spurts, and fortunately for them in the third period in Game 5, they snapped out of it, Dex. But back here, they didn't at times. When the Wild starts to get into these spurts where Vegas starts to take the play to them and gets them on their heels, literally going backwards, the defensemen start to give up the blue line, or the defensemen don't get aggressive enough because they're scared, and so they're at their offensive blue line, and instead of pinching in to save the puck, they basically just retreat, and everybody's retreating, and nobody's even clogging up the neutral zone. They're just all retreating. Oh my God, we got to get back. We got to get back. And that's what happened in Game 5. You need to have a plan for that.
Yeah.
Like that's not don't give me this, well, what are they going to do? What are they supposed to do? They're supposed to have a plan for that. They're supposed to clog up the neutral zone. They're like, if you've now decided, okay, when Vegas gets going, we just can't do that. Like we're just not capable. And by the way, there have been times that the Wild have combated that pretty well, so we know it's in them. But if they've just decided they're too damn good, then you need to have a plan for tonight to make sure, short of taking penalties left and right, that you clog up the neutral zone, that you don't just allow them free entry, which I thought the second period on what was that? Monday night was. It was free entry into your zone.
Yeah.
That's coaching, Dex.
Yes.
Like that starts with coaching. When your entire team, and I mean that was the entire roster, is basically saying, hey, it's the Golden Knights in our zone. What are we going to do? What I told you and Phil yesterday, I think, is accurate. If it's like one line or one defensive pair, okay, we got a problem and that has to be fixed.
Yeah, no, it was a team thing.
Right. But I mean, that's coaching.
Yes.
Like Dean can't be like, well, we've got to be better, and he can say that to us. I don't care. But that can't be the formula for we got to be better. The formula has to be we watched a ton of film and we've got an idea of at least if it starts. I mean, it's literally they go from the first period, which was great, okay, to the second period starts, and it starts to get bad. And so, let's say they've got a little cut, okay? And then it gets bigger and bigger, and instead of a tourniquet, they're like, let's stick the Band-Aid on the son of a buck and see if that works.
Right.
So I think the other real important factor tonight is what's the preparation? What's the coaching like? Because this is very important. If we think this team is going to eventually compete for a Stanley Cup, which, by the way, eventually, not now, but eventually they should, Dean's got to show us more too.
Yeah, and he briefly did that in the first period in Game 5 when he moved up Sturm. And I thought, oh, wow, in-game adjustment. Bravo, Dean. Like, honestly, bravo, Dean. But then in the second period, you basically played on your heels the whole game, and you were icing the puck a ton, and you couldn't get any zone entries. And the third period wasn't miserable, but it certainly still wasn't as great as it was in the first. So in-game adjustments, it have to be something that Dean makes. Like, it's been a little surprising because he's obviously a Jack Adams finalist. He most likely will be. I know that's not official yet, but he probably will be. He'll get some votes. He'll get some love. But the in-game playoff adjustments to me have been a bit baffling. It's been a bit baffling to me.
The adjustments overall to me have been as well. Like you brought in Rao because you thought he brought more speed, but he's a career minor leaguer. I didn't get that one. I know that Parise was playing, and so he's slower. But yeah, I've been very surprised that there hasn't been more proactive approach as far as personnel at times. And I don't mean a ton. There's not a ton that you can do, but there are things. We've hammered the Matthew Boldy angle to death at this point. But it's true. And I get that Bill Guerin has a say in that. But I'm just talking about we are now going to be 6 games into a series against the same team that you played, 8 times during the course of the season?
Right, yeah.
There are no surprises left. And yet when you get outshot 22-1, that clearly means you're caught off guard and surprised.
Yeah.
So,
it's unacceptable.
Yeah, and it's just it's fine to ask Cam Talbot to play outstanding. It's another to basically abandon him and be like, yeah, that's fine, dude, you got this. And he did for save their bacon. But yeah, that's That's the one thing to me that I'm going to be very curious if things start to go sideways again, second period for the Wild. Does the Wild, I'm not saying they're going to stop it entirely, but you can't just let it go, and that's what they did in Game 5.
Yeah, Cam Talbot has been phenomenal. He's been their godsend all series long, but you can't just rely on him all to take an onslaught like that, like they did in the second. You can't.
Exactly right. Final thoughts?
Before
we wrap her up?
Get a goal here. Get me going here, pal. I just
he's got
reward the haters. You're there. You're like 18 shots or whatever.
He's got a ton of shots on goal.
So absolutely get there for me, man. Get there for me.
He's tried. Kirill, be selfish. That's my advice to him. All right. Say your thing.
Pass, shoot, score.